There we go. Okay.
Okay.
Hello, hello. Hi, Erin. Oh, hi, little Sunny. You can see Sunny in the background, one of our favorite
Her
mascots.
little outfit. We get it as a joke, and she's upset. Like she barks until I put it on her. So now she wears it all the time.
Is that Sunny's Halloween costume?
It's actually not. We ordered a different costume for her, but this is just her. You know, it's been chilly, so she has her little sweater.
It's so cute. Hello, Sunny. Sunny has the cutest little grunts of all time. But I would love to welcome everyone to today's session, Digital Detox with Tea. And our host is Adam Yasmin. Welcome, Jennifer. Welcome, Jade. I hope that you've got a delicious beverage or something to enjoy while we're together here. As many of you know, the Human Beauty Movement, I founded a few years ago to really focus on self-love, self-acceptance, radical just self-expression. And this is a place for mind, body, soul wellness. It's a place where we as a community can come together, enjoy each other's energies, learn a little something new about each other, and maybe some new mindful practices that we can incorporate into our lives. I very much appreciate all of your presence and for being part of this community and making what it is. We do aspire to continue growing and to flourish worldwide. It's so nice because in many cases we have folks from all around the globe joining us, and it's nice that we have an intimate gathering today because this is an intimate session. We will be recording it for those that are not able to join us today because we know how life can get. These people probably need digital detoxing more than anything, but c'est la vie, c'est la vie. So I will turn it over to Adam, who is a new host with the Human Beauty Movement. He comes from a technical background and he can elaborate a little bit further on how all of his learnings throughout his life have really kind of culminated into this beautiful practice, which he is going to be sharing with us today. So I'll turn it over to you, Adam.
Thank you, Jennifer. And it's good to be with everyone. Wherever you are and whenever you are doing well. And I hope you have a comforting beverage with you, whatever that may be. This is an open beverage immersive experience. We are beverage inclusive here. And yeah, I would like to start every tea session in particular. I'm going to be drinking some tea here. This is an homage to a tea brewing methodology called Gong, which in Chinese loosely translates to tea with effort. The implication is that with time, dedication, reverence, and practice, all those together can produce a profound tea experience. It originates in Southwest China, I think particularly around Fujian province. Fujian is southeast. The tea itself is something I'm brewing. I'm just starting a new cake of. So this is a pu'er tea, and it is an intentionally aged and fermented tea leaf. It is tea that is pressed and wrapped in rice paper, so it breathes, and it's breathing because it's alive in that fermented magical way. It looks like a disc. It looks like a frisbee, and it is this tea leaf that is compressed into this shape that is helps induce a better and healthier aging process. I take apart this cake with this pick. Pick is made of brass. You take it apart with a lot of reverence and patience. You really slowly, because you only need such a particular amount. And the teaware that I'm using is teaware that is part of the Gong Fu process. This is actually a teapot. It's called a Gai Wan. And a Gai Wan is essentially made of three parts. There's a saucer or a plate, there's the cup, and there's the lid. Put the loose tea in the mouth of the Gai Wan. And this is now going to be the vessel that will brew the tea. The lid is there once the water is full to then tilt the lid so you could decant out from the mouth of the Gai Wan. From the Gai Wan, we go through this sequential step, actually from kettle to Gai Wan. We go through the step of water to pot to decanter. This is known as the Gong Dao Bei, or the fairness pitcher. They call it the fairness pitcher traditionally because we know that both hosts and guests will receive the same tea at the same temperature from the fairness pitcher. And from fairness pitcher goes out into the cups. And if you notice, all the teaware itself is small, is delicate. This, in particular, this teaware, it's known as Jian Shui, and it's indigenous to Yunnan, which is in southwest China. It's made of an amalgam of 5 different types of clay that together, the teaware and the tea have this symbiotic and poetic relationship. By brewing the tea in this vessel and drinking it out of this vessel, you are engaged in this like beautiful dance between, again, the tea and the teaware, which is both comes from southwest China and Yunnan province. It's a really fertile place. It's home to, I believe, 25% of China's biodiversity in terms of flora and fauna. It borders Laos and Myanmar. So it's kind of like almost like a subtropical region. And this tea in particular is called Old Reliable, and it comes from a tea company that I adore called White Dew Tea. It was pressed actually on my birthday on October 2nd, 2020. So it's got about 2 years of age. I didn't know that. That's kind of exciting. So pressed and processed in the fall. The reason why I am presenting this to you is not that this is the only way to brew tea. It's just the one way that I love to do so. It's part of my own practice and have been practicing and sort of committed to this style of tea in this way for almost 15 years now. So the first step that I love to basically bring forth when it comes to even just sitting down for a tea session is that I rinsed all the teaware with hot water first. So that just kind of creates a harmonious environment. It's basically starting tabula rasa, rinsing everything with hot boiling water first, which I've just done so. And then I've just broken off a piece of the tea that I want to use. So I will now steep this first pot of tea, which is actually a ceremonial rinse. It just lasts a few seconds long. The idea behind this, the tradition, we call it waking the leaf. The reason why we wake the leaf is because, in particular, this aging and fermented tea leaf has been sitting. And so this 3-second steep, I've now rinsed because it allows for any kind of energetic impurities or a little bit of the caffeine that's innate to Camellia sinensis, that's innate to tea leaf, to be rinsed off, so that we're just starting off with a little bit of from a more kind of balanced and level-headed state. It's no different than like when you bring home vegetables and you're going to be cooking them. You're going to first wash them, prepare them. Maybe you're going to peel them or slice them. It's basically the same idea behind that. So the reason why I love to bring this type of a session out to the community is because I believe that tea, everything from tea to coffee to broth to even a glass of water or a meal that you've prepared yourself, can be a profound mindfulness immersion if you allow it. In my case, I have a lot of different vessels that are fragile and delicate and imbued with a lot of character and tradition and history and cultural reverence. And so it is because of these small, delicate tools, it really just brings me in, slows me down, and gets me into this sort of flow state. So however you could find that flow state for you, again, in my case, I have all these different tools. So there's kind of a lot of moving mechanisms here. That whole moving mechanism turns into this sort of moving meditation. If you have fewer tools with you, that is totally okay. This is, again, a space just to slow down and be with yourself and also together with each other. So I would say, so we really would love to welcome in maybe just, if you feel safe and comfortable, you can close your eyes. Just close your eyes. You have your vessel with you. Maybe you'd like to hold on to that vessel. You don't have to hold on to that vessel. If it's on a tabletop or it's in your lap or in your hands. So now that you've closed your eyes and you're seated and you've arrived here to this session, there's really nowhere else to be. We're here right now. We're in our bodies. We're at our chairs or on our cushions or tables or couches, wherever you may feel comfortable. And just pay attention, if you can, to how you're breathing and how you're feeling in your body. There's no right or wrong way to breathe at this moment, just to notice what's happening, to notice how you're breathing. Maybe you were feeling a little bit tense before the session. Maybe you're feeling a little bit groggy. Maybe you're here on the West Coast and it's sort of a late morning, or maybe you're in another part of the country or in another continent. Maybe it's a different time of day. But just notice how it feels to be sitting in your body right now. And if you'd like to, you can breathe in through your nose. And you can breathe out through your nose or through your mouth. Just slowly breathe in. You could do so with maybe a count of 4. And you can also exhale for a count of 4. And while you're sitting here and your vessel is nearby, you can start to notice what you hear within your environment. Maybe the window's open and you're hearing the cars outside or some neighbors. Maybe you have a dog or a pet. You hear them rustling through the house. Just notice what's there. So since you may have your vessel close by, maybe you can begin to notice what you smell. You smell what's in your cup. Are there other aromas in the house when you're near the kitchen? Just be aware of what's there. Say, let's take 3 more breaths with our eyes closed, being aware of our bodies and our breath. And after you take your 3rd breath and exhale, I welcome you to open your eyes. And when you do open your eyes, whenever you're there and you're ready, just notice 3 things that are with you within your eyesight. It could be 3 colors or textures. It could be shapes. Just notice 3 things, nothing more, nothing less. Thank you for doing that with me. Since we are currently here, a small intimate group, feel free to have your cameras on. If that's comfortable for you. If you'd like to unmute and just sort of make it an open table space. Maybe you'd like to share how that experience was for you, what you noticed. What you noticed about your breathing, about the environment that you're in. Maybe you notice how you were feeling coming into the session, how that feeling may have changed to right now. And it could also just be a quiet, contemplative space. That is definitely what T is comfortable with as well.
I'd be happy to go first. When I was closing my eyes and listening to your voice, I instantly felt this sensation of calm and peacefulness. And then, interestingly, it migrated to this feeling of just excitement for what is unfolding, like this idea that things are just manifesting right before my eyes. And whereas before I had always been a bit impatient about manifestation, I felt to myself that the universe is now telling me it's all happening and this is what you've been waiting for. And here it is, it's unfurling just like a tidal wave of abundance and flourishment. So even in the midst of the calm, I felt this wonderful excitement and ebullient joy.
That's awesome. Thank you.
I love that. That's such a good feeling, Jen. I noticed like how many ideas just came into my head. Like when I took a minute to just sit and not think, I have a journal with me because all these ideas are popping up because I think the time of day is kind of important too. Like I'm in the middle of a work day, but to take the time and like sit and do nothing it's really nice. So many good ideas are coming.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. That is that feeling of, oh, I'm sitting here and I'm doing nothing. And yet so much is happening. So there's so much I'm becoming aware of. that is naturally happening, whether I'm aware of it or not, is a special feeling.
And isn't that the truth and the paradox of the universe, in that you have to step back and do nothing in order for all the work to be done? Like, this is the most productive thing we could possibly be doing today, is sitting here in silence, because look at all this. We wouldn't come up with these kinds of creative ideas. We wouldn't have these sensations unless we stopped and just, I won't say forced, but caused ourselves to take pause and, experience the now so profoundly.
Yeah, that is it right there. That is the crux of it, is that we seem to have forgotten that doing nothing or being bored or having moments of quiet introspective contemplation actually does improve product. It's actually part of productivity, as we know. And so that kind of that decoupling of that somewhere told to us by someone else may not work for us, as a whole or as individuals. So what I've noticed more and more as I've connected with people, predominantly virtually throughout this last 3-year period, is pausing and resting, or doing nothing, or just sitting and having a cup of tea is a birthright. It's something that everyone can do, has done, will be doing in the future. And is becoming increasingly important to do as we are inundated with tasks, needs, desires, putting out fires, a lot of information about the world, about what's going on with society. It is important to fine tune how we receive that information, how we feel as we receive that information. So,
It's
yeah, I mean, being able to do so.
Yeah, I was going to say one thing that I learned a while ago, and I took it to heart, and I often share it with young people who say, "Oh, there's nothing to do. I'm so bored," and they just feel like this drudgery because of boredom. And I tell them, well, if you think about it, only boring people get bored. Because if you can learn to appreciate the, doing nothing and just being happy and thinking and just what we were doing, sitting still and letting your mind wander and your imagination take over, there's nothing boring about that at all. It's actually quite exhilarating.
Yeah, I think, like my 7-year-old daughter, tells me she's bored once a day probably. And I'm like, that's cool. I'm like, and internally I'm like, that's cool. That's being 7. Like that's what you're experiencing right now. There's no right or wrong way, you're not right and I'm wrong, or vice versa. And the way that she or I or both of us can then turn that into something else, maybe change the perspective. Maybe it's like, okay, well, let's go carve a pumpkin, or, whatever the situation may be, given my availability or bandwidth in that moment. It's not about thinking about the right response, or like here's the better thing to do, or I'll help you address that boredom. It's like, no, it's for me trusting, her own innate wisdom, being there to kind of mirror back, what she's experiencing and what I can offer based on my own experience. And I think I've heard from a lot of clients, a lot of people over these last 2.5 years, that when we go into this, like, temporary contemplative quiet zone, there is this like disarming experience that happens. Oh, I didn't know I needed that. Oh, that was exactly what I needed. I was feeling tense before, or I was feeling a haze, or like a creativity block. I didn't know what to do. I was feeling anxious or hungry. I didn't have breakfast. Like all, there's so many factors that go into and affect our day or how we experience or perceive our day. And more and more, it's like, even, if whether you're the type of person who would like to make more space for slowing down and pausing, or to do so in this kind of a container, in a group setting, with some kind of a guide, or a captain or what have you. Uh, in either way, is it's just a kind of a really great reminder of just being a human being. Um, so So something I'd like to just touch on as we go about the rest of our day is this notion of digital detox. It's kind of a vague term. Um, on the one hand, we all, by some measure, before the pandemic, there was always like that, like maybe that one vacation, that one retreat we could take at some point if we could budget for it, or if our work can pay for it, or what have you. If our families will allow for me to go on retreat. This feeling, this notion of retreat, is an important one because uh, it, in a way, it is allowing us to experience ourselves fully without distraction, without the demands of the day, the demands of our lives, our families, our partnerships, our marriages, work related, as well. And the thing I want to try and transmit through my tea practice and sharing in this container is that I believe we can do that, and we could, even if we seek that out, we can do that and find ways to do that for ourselves and each other on a daily basis. And it's and it'll look different for everyone. It could mean putting your phone on airplane mode for 10 minutes or 5 minutes or 30 minutes, whatever it may be, to be free of distraction, to really just sit with. You may just want to sit with your thoughts and feel what that experience is like. Feel the discomfort, or feel the joy, or something I'm excited about. You may want to experience it with a friend or family member. Maybe there's a cup of coffee. Maybe there's a coffee shop that you'd like to meet at with your friend or colleague or dear person. And your phone again is on airplane mode, or it's on like distraction free mode, whatever that may mean to you for the duration of that cup of coffee or tea or something. Um, Maybe you have a meditation practice. Maybe you have a subscription to Calm or Headspace, and you want to engage in that practice that day. That offering that was came to you that day. Then you make the space for that to be free from all other distractions. It's going to look different for everyone, and there is no right or wrong way. It's really one of the sort of the foundational aspects of digital well-being that I appreciate the most, is that there is no one size fits all solution. There are no templates. There are only tools, resources, and embodied and evidence-based experiences that you can utilize based on your needs as they shift day to day, because we're human beings with shifting needs, day in and day out. So in my case, I have this setup. I have my screens. I have my earbuds. It sort of draws me in with all of my tools. Again, the fact that they're fragile and small and imbued with a lot of character. I have a relationship with each of these tools. There's the whole motion, the whole kind of life I live with these tools. So that draws me in. That really calls forth all of my reverence. I'm using my hands and my fingers. It's a full body experience for me. There's aromas, there's sounds, et cetera, et cetera. So however that could look for you. Again, it doesn't have to look anything like this. It could be a mug that you love. I'm just going to focus on the contents of that mug for 15 minutes. Nothing else but that cup for 15 minutes. And that can be a really profound experience. It could also be, at times, it could be an unsettling experience. Whatever that may be, that experience, the more you approach it, if it's every day, if it's twice a week, if it's once a month, wherever you want to find time for that in your calendar, it's just going to be, that's going to be your teacher, basically, for that duration. So
I found it interesting when I was speaking to a client about an upcoming session that we're going to be doing together, Adam, for them about digital wellness. The woman looked at me and she said, "Oh my goodness, one of our employees broke her foot because she was texting while walking down a flight of stairs, and she tripped and
yeah,
fell and hurt herself." And she said, "This couldn't be more timely."
yeah,
Everybody was aware that, there's just this not paying attention right now to the things around me. It's just my phone, and it literally can physically hurt you.
it can. Well, that's a thing. It's not that the phone physically hurt her, though. I totally hear and see that scenario. It is the choice that we made to do this thing while we're doing something else important. I feel like the um, I feel like one of the things I've learned about myself in this process, and that have some people have echoed back to me, is that multitasking is a myth. I think from a biological or sort of behavioral science, I'm sure there's a lot of behavioral science that could back that up as well. But when it comes to the mechanics of our devices and the attention that we give to them, and the sort of blocking out of the rest of the world, um, I think it's shown us that multitasking, as we know it, is a myth. And yeah, there is a lot to be said about the at times the joy or the mundanity of I'm just going to focus on one task. I'm just going to focus on that text. It may take me 5 to 30 or 60 seconds. Just going to do that. I'm going to pause, stop what I'm doing, do that. It's done. Cool. It's out of sight. And then I can focus on something else and finish my walk or finish something. Um, it does take a excuse me, a different commitment to self to slow down enough to want to just focus on one thing at a time, right? Because there is that collective feeling of urgency. I have to respond to all these things. I have to do my to-do list. I have to read all these tweets, what's happening in the news and the world. It's like a fire hose of information. And uh, how do I say this? It's like a fire hose of like inundating our nervous systems with information and sensory sensory input. Um, and only you know what's best for you, given your experience and your body and your mind and your heart. And so you know, I'm glad to hear that she's okay. And even though she's dealing with, as you say, a broken foot, you know, a broken foot will heal. And that we can go into this, she can go into this session, beginning to address, you know, how not to create that situation again in the future, which takes practice and
Yeah.
commitment.
I'm sure that there are a lot of people just like me who are big into wellness, big into mindfulness. But boy, it is so hard to break the digital addiction. Like first thing in the morning when you wake up, there's the phone. And I know all of the things people, put it in the other room, put it in the bathroom, make sure that the notifications are off, all of those things. Yet the addiction is still so strong and the urge is still so strong that it is very, very hard to break those habits. And I'm sure that, there are certain things that you can do every day. It's like, okay, little steps, but I'll try them and then I backslide and then I end up doing the same thing over and over again. And it's literally the first thing in the morning and perhaps even the last thing at night. I'm in front of a screen, whether it be my computer or my phone. And so help me, Adam, what do I need to do?
Well, if you're on your phone the first thing in the morning, that is a choice that you made that you value enough to commit to every day. And that's totally cool. If you feel that it doesn't work for you, you can work towards changing that relationship, changing the dynamics of the relationship. This thing doesn't control me. I'm in control of this thing. This thing gives me tools to improve my life. It doesn't make my life worse. It's a commitment to starting with those kinds of foundational truths. And again, it's not an absolute truth. I don't believe in absolutes. I believe that every day is going to be different. I'm coming out of a COVID cloud. Uh, I spend a lot more time on my device. I utilize it a lot more for entertainment, for hope, for inspiration, for connecting with friends and family and loved ones, enjoying the benefits of what it's capable of doing. However, if you want to feel differently in the morning, I would work towards a morning ritual that will nourish you in ways that your phone cannot do. First thing in the morning. And I know that it's hard because we want to answer that thing. Someone's reached out, they're waiting for a response. This is your life. Our lives are lived in routines. If we wake up in the morning and we're immediately like, have to get to that, have to respond to, you're not, so sorry, I'm going to pause for a second because it's a lot of excitement and passion that comes with this topic. You're not the only person who's dealing with, struggling with phone use first thing in the morning. In my studies and in my training with the Digital Wellness Institute, we found that something like, 86% of smartphone owners sleep with their devices next to their beds, next to their pillows. And something like probably 80% of them are with their pillows still with their heads still on their pillows, like first thing in the morning upon waking, reacting to notifications and whatnot. By doing so, we need to realize we may be feeling a certain way about how that's working or not working for us. We need to realize that by doing that, we are sort of relinquishing our nervous system equilibrium and turning it over to the device doing what it was designed to do, which is keep you engaged. You know, it's designed to do that. The operating system is built to do that. The apps that we utilize are built to do that. They're working by design. They're made by people, right? They don't think for themselves. And so it's your choice how you relate to the device. So what I love to help with clients is setting up some kind of morning ritual to commit to 5, 15, ideally 30 or more minutes a day. First part of the morning is for you. It's self-care. It's me time. It's time for me. It's time for my family or my partner or my loved one or my pet. You know, and it could be anything from stretching, brushing your teeth, drinking a glass of water, or having a cup of coffee or tea, or doing a yoga practice, or sitting in meditation, or um, being outside in your garden, or being in some outdoor space. It could be really anything that you want to comprise your morning ritual of. Start with that, and really just try to commit to it for at least 15 minutes every morning, so that your reward for for enjoying that ritual, that boundary from your device, the living boundary, you then reward yourself to like, cool, I will now get to my device. I'm sure it's waiting. Everyone's waiting there. Everything is going to be there, right? Then you can access it and then go about the rest of the morning and the rest of the day, knowing that you've given yourself that buffer time. And that buffer time is really important. And it's going to look different for everyone. There's no better or worse way of doing it. We're finding a way to create that morning buffer. And again, there can also be an evening buffer. The evenings are what I struggle with personally. As a parent, or as a person who I may be more creative in the evening versus the morning. But just to give an example of what my morning ritual is, if you'd like
Before
to
we
know.
go on, I just want to make sure, Jen,
Yeah,
did you have a question? I saw your hand being raised.
No, I didn't have a
I'm
question.
sorry, Jen.
Oh, it's no problem.
Okay.
I didn't have a question. I was really just going to affirm what Adam is saying, because I created a morning ritual years ago, and it has made such a difference in my day, even if the day turns out bad later on. Like, making my morning ritual a non-negotiable just sets
Mhm.
up the day for such. I get so much joy out of my morning ritual, even though it's so basic, in what I'm doing. But the peace and the calm and the ease in which I start my day,
Ah,
it helps me later on, even if the day becomes stressful. And just like you said, of course, I've turned off my notifications. Like, that caused me so much anxiety, like Instagram notifications and stuff
ah,
like that. So
mhm.
I've turned those off like for years now. Like, I don't like getting push notifications on my phone, because it just generates anxiety when your phone is constantly buzzing,
Mhm.
But the morning ritual thing, like I said, I just want to affirm the value of starting your day with that time for yourself, even if it's limited, or even if you have to get up earlier, which I know a lot of people don't want to do, but if you have family obligations and things like that, you might have to get up before everyone else. And also creating a sacred space within my home that's just for me. And it doesn't mean that people can't come in here. Like, I'm in here now and it doubles as my office. However, having things in here that are calming to me, an essential oil diffuser, my plants. I have little prisms hanging so that the sunlight can catch the prisms, things like that, where I can just come in here and be calm. And so it's just like he's saying, making that deliberate choice, like, no matter how busy I am, no matter how many obligations, this
Mhm.
time is just for me, and it's important to me. And it's important enough because everything on the phone is going to be there. It's not going anywhere. And also, first thing in the morning, you don't know what the email or the thing that's going to pop up on your feed. And it's like, do you really want to start your day with negativity or politics or something controversial? Because you don't have options of what's going to pop up first thing. And it's like, I don't want to see that as soon as I get up. You know, I want to drink my tea. I want to look at my plants. I want, things like that. And so I just wanted to agree with what he was saying.
That is so amazing. It reminds me too of and first of all, I want to say I love, Adam, that you're like, there's no judgment here. If it works for you, okay. Sometimes people don't know it because I mean, let's face it, there's nothing but dopamine to be found on your phones, and people find that rewarding. And then there is a loss of control after that. I recall when my stepdaughter was younger and she was, being punished for a period of time, and we took her phone away for a week, and we may as well just have like ended her life. It was such a disaster for her. Like, she just thought that, she would never go on. That was probably the worst week of her life. But that's when you know that there is a problem, when you feel that you can't like live without it like that. Luckily, I'm not nearly like that. I feel like, it's really very casual. So I know that there is a balance in however I'm engaging with my life overall. It just gets to be a little bit insidious because they formulate the programs on the phone. They do the apps. Like everything, all the content is made for you to just, kind of go down that rabbit hole. And so, yeah, just that awareness and feeling like you can take these mindful moments, whether it be your morning ritual, your evening ritual, times in between your day, to do those things, to step back and really contemplate and take those breaths and enjoy your surroundings of what's presently around you instead of just on your screen, and avoiding the multitasking, quote unquote, if there is such a thing, right, Adam?
That's right. That's right. I mean, I think our time and our attention are our most precious resources. Period. End of sentence. Like,
Time and attention is love. Yeah.
Yeah, and how we share that with others, how we utilize it for um, self-actualization, for professional goals, for creative goals, what have you. It's really up to us. And I don't think there's anything more to add to that. I really appreciate, Jen, what you brought regarding the non-negotiable morning ritual. It really speaks for itself. And again, like, I struggle with evenings personally. So I'm working on more of an evening ritual myself. But yeah, the morning stuff is non-negotiable. For me, it's like, I live by, I'll get to my phone like during business hours. Like, for me, it's like my goal is to not get to my phone until like 9 o'clock. That's my goal. Whether that actually happens every day is it's a different story, sometimes day by day. But that's how I choose to orient that particular boundary with that device.
Beautiful. Now, Adam, you have another session which is coming up next week. Can you tell us about what that is about?
Yeah, and that session is really more about practical, digital habits. Really, like, I mean, this particular topic of morning ritual is kind of a segue into that. It's really just kind of tips and Q&A and more, evidence-based, anecdotes and It's more of a workshop type of a space
Mhm.
for working through digital habits and boundaries.
Great. Well, I am looking forward to that one as well. I believe that one is, I'm going to find it here because I know I got the date and the time of this one wrong. This one coming up is Thursday, November 3rd at 12 o'clock Pacific time. Digital wellness for busy people. What a great workshop this is going to be.
Yep. Yeah. And I'll probably be, I'll probably be drinking tea there as well, because it's, for me, it's something that constantly, it's my anchor. It's going to
Mhm.
constantly ground me, regardless of what's happening. And that's my choice. Um, as a great working tool, both to ground the topic or conversation. That's also such a visual presentation that it's always great to, share about it as well.
Oh,
So, um, yeah. Any other questions? What are you drinking? Maybe just kind of do just a round table of what we're drinking.
I'm still drinking my morning coffee. It takes me a few hours to
Nice.
fill my mug. So
Is there a coffee? Is this like a coffee that you like? This is my jam. This is like a bean I'm trying, or it's from what's the story behind the coffee?
I mean, nothing special. I'm a Pete's fan. But
Cool.
it's part of my morning ritual is doing a pour over coffee every morning. And I
Cool.
actually do decaf now. I tried to just quit, but I really liked having that ritual. So now I just buy decaf. And yeah, that's actually part of my morning ritual.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Today I had coffee earlier. I'm on the East Coast, so it's a little later in the afternoon today. But typically I start every day with green tea, like no matter what, it's my favorite thing in the world.
Mm,
So every day when I get up, I have water and then green tea. And then if I want coffee, I'll have it a little later, but not too late. And my favorite coffee is a local company. I try to really shop local small businesses called Chesapeake Bay um, Coffee Roasters. But really, more than anything, green tea. Coffee is more of a treat. Green tea is just everything. And then, of course, I have lots of herbal teas, like any type of ailment. I'm like, there's a tea for that, But so
yeah.
I drink tea all day. But
Yeah.
yeah, so now I want green tea, but but yeah, so that's my favorite.
Awesome. Thank you.
one of my favorites that I had when I wasn't feeling well years ago was throat coat, and I just liked the taste so much. I just buy it all the time and drink it all the time.
I
I
think
have
that's the
some.
slippery. Yeah.
Talk about there's
I
a
feel
tea for
like,
that, right?
Exactly.
yeah, all the throat coats usually have slippery elm or like wild cherry bark is one of the ingredients. It's a slippery elm.
So good.
That's the magic factor in these herbal teas. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I hope the rest of your day is a good one, and I look forward to the next session.
Adam, thank you so much for educating us on your tea ritual. This is really fascinating. You went a lot deeper than I had ever known, the mindfulness of the tea pouring and the tea preparation to be. So I really found that fascinating to learn about. And I really enjoyed just spending this time with you all, taking these quiet moments to be together. Jen, I appreciate you so much. I love that you come to our sessions. I hope that you can join Adam's next workshop on Thursday of next week. So it's exactly a week from today. And yeah, come continue to take a break with us, continue to share news about the human beauty movement with everybody that you know, because we're really excited to continue growing and touching people's lives in any way we can with mindfulness. With that, I will wish you all a wonderful day. Take
Thank
care.
you. Bye.